obviously Scottie Scheffler coming down the stretch and getting the job done. That's huge for marketing. The PGA Tour gets to pump out, other than Rory McIlroy, their biggest name that's still around these days. And so much of the talking point of the early part of this season is when are the big dogs going to show up? We really hadn't seen it up until Bay Hill. And not only was Scotty winning, but the final leaderboard at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, everyone who was in the hunt on the back nine yesterday at TPC Sawgrass, man. Type of week that the PGA Tour really, type of 2 weeks that the PGA Tour really needed, as the Masters is now just 3 weeks away, believe it or not.
No, absolutely. They're making the turn at the right time. They're getting the audience at the right time. And I mean, you can tell they're plugging and playing different things. And once again, Kiz just has to be in the booth like full time.
I thought the broadcast was phenomenal. Again, my only little critique I will say that I have about the broadcast, and it was kind of similar to what happened at Waste Management, as they do Smiley's. I don't even know if it was called the happy hour at Phoenix, but that's what it's turned into the last couple of weeks. And I think it's great. I love Smiley bringing in guests, sharing perspective of what's going on out there on the course. What are these guys trying to do, right? I love all that insight. I just think it's a little difficult when that's on the national broadcast and you got to find a way to balance everything else that's going down on the course with all the notable players, all the guys who are in the mix, while also showing guys who are like, well out of it and trying to advertise to Smiley and what's going on there. I think it does create a little tough of a dynamic. And I think it needs to be like a Saturday thing. It can't be a Sunday thing because there's just so much going on the course that needs to be shown. So that was my only like little critique I had with it, is maybe move it to a Saturday thing, or maybe create it as an alternate broadcast on the PGA Tour app. I know that's probably a lengthy suggestion given that the PGA Tour, broadcast historically isn't all that great, but the broadcast this weekend was excellent. And it's what it needs to be for big time golf events, Ross. Limited commercials, and I get that pays the bills, man, but this is the best tournament of the year that the PGA Tour pumps out. And to really make it a smashing success, you got to show as much of the golf as possible. And I thought they did a great job of that, really, for the most part, all throughout the week. And it's a little bit bittersweet because they are capable, right? It's the year 2024. I know it's expensive, but come on. Come on now. We have to have this at more than just one tournament a year. It was great, and I loved it, and I'm so happy that the broadcast went the way that it did for the Players' Championship. It was the broadcast the Players' Championship deserves. But it's also the broadcast that us diehard golf fans deserve week in and week out when we're trying to watch this thing when it's not just the biggest tournament of the year. And I get you want to make it perfect to help grow the game when there's new eyes on it, but us longtime fans who watch this week in and week out, we really deserve that every week. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. And I don't know if you noticed it, but I thought they cut down a lot on it and it made the coverage so much better, as we had very few moments, it seemed like, especially in Sunday, where they were going a moment ago on 16. They were flashing to that shit live. Like Brian Harmon's starting the back nine. Brian has a birdie opportunity here to come within 4 shots of the lead, whatever. They were flipping over. They were getting there. We were seeing the putt drop live.
Great point. Great point. So we know they are capable of doing this. And I think it's funny. We talked about this a little bit before recording, but Rory McIlroy had some comments. He has to get in front of all the in front of all the cameras, in front of all the microphones week in and week out. So it seems like we always talk on the show about a comment of Rory McIlroy's, but this one I thought really hit home to me. And he talked about how, as the PGA Tour, supposed to be a player run tour, wasn't exactly what happened when the deal broke last June 6th, nearly a year ago now. But he said with that being the way it is, it feels like the priority goes to making sure the players are happy with everything that's going on, when in reality, in order to grow this game, you got to give the fans what they want to, and you got to kind of cater to them to really grow this thing. And I think the broadcast goes hand in hand with that. Having coverage like this week in and week out, we know it's attainable. We know it's feasible. But that's kind of the stuff you have to do to get the outreach that they truly want. And Rory McIlroy called it a little bit of a broken and backwards policy that the PGA Tour has kind of always gone with. That's kind of just the way business has gone in the past. But I think this is a good reminder to listen to the fans. And when you give the fans what they want, it turns into a smashing success, a great golf course that's televised for everyone to see all the important shots. That's what it takes to really grow the game. And I think getting that week in and week out is going to do the PGA Tour wonders. If it ever gets to that point, that's up for debate.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the best things that they covered that we got to see, that not only was it one of the best things, but they had the drive and the focus to pay attention to it, was in the beginning of the tournament. The whole Rory, Victor Hovland, Jordan Spieth thing, that became electric, and they did not turn away from that. We are not switching away from this. That you got Jordan and Victor basically pointing their finger at Rory, disagreeing, and it's happening live on the course. They stayed on that for 10 minutes.
I loved that, and I loved how they even pumped it out on the socials, and it's like, that's the stuff that needs to go out there. This is the stuff that gets eyeballs on it, and, it's really wasn't much of a controversy. Like, Jordan had some kind of weird comments about it, and he just said he was unsure of some things. They were just talking things over, but it was a great insight of what goes on the golf course out there, and those are the things, those little moments can just turn into a great clip on social media just like that. And I love to see the PGA Tour being okay with pushing that out there, not being afraid that, oh, this is going to make Rory McIlroy look bad and we're going to be scared about how that goes. Like, no, this is the stuff we need to see, we want to see, and look what happens when you give it to us. It was great.
Well, especially because it doubled up, because we got to watch Johnson Wagner pound fastballs into the turf to reenact what the ball may or may not have done.
Another fantastic part of the broadcast was Johnson Wagner trying to reenact certain shots that were going on all throughout the golf course. My personal favorite was the old Friday afternoon when Rory McIlroy skipped it through the bunker somehow from the pine straw. Johnson Wagner, first attempt, goes and rifles it off the tree back right into the forest, which was pretty hilarious. Yeah, I thought that was great all throughout the tournament as well.
Yeah, no, I think they hit it on the head. I think we're trending in the right direction. And honestly, this is the right time to do it. We have the big tournaments coming up. You need to pull your shit together. You need to put out the product and get the fans tuned in.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. But what really did make this Sunday great, though, Ross, was just the names at the top of the leaderboard. It was absolutely marvelous. And we got to talk more about Scottie Scheffler here, man, because starts the tournament 5 under on that first day, and then comes out early for his Friday round, and clearly is in some discomfort. We see him getting a full-blown neck massage out there on the golf course, and it's like, oh, Scotty's a little dinged up here. Some other guys may have a chance. And even going into that final round, like, a lot of people were assuming it was going to be a 3-horse race between Xander Schauffele, Wyndham Clark, and Brian Harman with the way that it was shaping up, and seeing the guys go out there early. There were scores out there, certainly. And with the way that those three had been playing, it felt like one of them was at least going to fire a 66 or a 67 to go and take that thing. But that ultimately didn't end up happening. Xander and Wyndham, I don't want to say they got off to a bad start, but it was ho-hum and not the start you wanted either of them to have on Sunday to go and close this thing out. Well, Scottie Scheffler, he opened with 3 straight pars, and then as soon as that 87-yard chip drops into the cup, it's like he flipped a switch, man, and was just typical lights out Scheffler the rest of the way. And that's now back-to-back Sundays where he's made, they are 2 vastly different golf courses, but 2 of the most iconic and the most grueling golf courses on the PGA Tour. Look far too easy 2 Sundays in a row to win 2 of the most prestigious events on the PGA Tour. I was absolutely gutted because I had Wyndham Clark, and we'll get there in just a moment. But at the same point in time, while I was frustrated that Scotty went and stole that thing, I do completely understand that greatness is happening right now. And Scottie Scheffler, not only just becoming the first player to successfully defend their title at the Players' Championship, but just winning all these big time events. And I know it was a year between his victories until last week at the API, but man, it's just terrifying that this guy basically won this thing on his C game. Like Ted Scott, his caddy, said at one point on Friday afternoon, he wasn't even sure Scottie was going to be able to finish this tournament. And he goes out there and wins it when he wasn't even at 100%. It's scary to think about how good Scottie Scheffler is and how much better he really is than even the other top players on the PGA Tour, Ross.
Well, I know there is one person tuning into this that definitely is not a fan of everything that's happening, and that's our boy Stuck out here in the comments. Shout out Stuck, our newest counterpart on the Golf on Tap team. So welcome to the team, Stuck. But also, yeah, Stuck, not a fan of Scottie Scheffler. And unfortunately, buddy, I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. I think we are going to continue to hear his name and see his name at the top of the leaderboard at the end of the rounds. He's back. And like you said, he's bringing out the C game, and he still comes up and gets it and takes it.
He's annoyingly good. It has gotten to that point for me. Like, I'm not going to deny greatness. I understand how good Scottie Scheffler is. And like, I text my buddies, like, I hate Scottie. I don't actually hate Scottie. Like, he's so good. It's truly not fair that I really can't hate him. But he does owe me a little bit of coin after how these last few weeks have gone. Poor Wyndham Clark, man. Just didn't, it was really clear to me that Wyndham Clark didn't have his best stuff on Sunday. He kind of had the double miss going, like was pulling some wedges left, couldn't control the cut on his driver, was missing a lot right. But you can't deny how gritty he is. And when the going gets tough, he gets going. Like the up and down that he had from the bunker, I want to say it might have been on 11 or 12. It was on the first par 5 on the back 9. To go and make that birdie was incredible. Going in, getting the birdie at 17 to give himself a chance. I like want to say I'm disappointed in Wyndham, but at the end of the day, he just didn't have his best stuff on Sunday and dug himself a little bit too big of a hole late. And there were a lot of missed putts all throughout that round, Ross, that, add up and really made the difference. And it really started at the par 5 second. He had that approach from like 240 that he sticks to inside 5 feet. Misses a short putt there. The bogey or the par save where he probably did trample down that lie over there when he got that drop. That's okay. I'm all right with it. If Wyndham Clark is willing to cheat for my money, I'll give him the thumbs up from my end. But he missed that putt to save par there, even though he did make a couple of par saves earlier. The real kicker, though, Ross, was the eagle on 16, man. He had 11 feet for eagle, and if he makes that and then goes and makes the birdie still at 17, I get, maybe the feelings change and maybe he'd rather take his crack at 18, but hypothetically that would have gotten him to 20. So while I am upset that, yeah, he got robbed on that lip out and even he thought it was going in, he was gearing up for the double fist pump and it was an absolute heartbreaker at the end. There were a lot of shots that he left out there, but losing to Scottie Scheffler is still rather impressive. He's now done it 2 weeks in a row. A tough finish for Wyndham, but I still think this was a positive week for him as a whole and just a reconfirmation that he is one of the top 10 players in the world right now.